Hello, all. This is Ray Posch, host of the New Ways of Being podcast. And this is a brand new episode. It's called Join the Shift to Higher Consciousness. And I think this is pretty important right now. There is an evolution of consciousness underway on planet Earth. And it is moving slowly, but it is picking up speed. And so in my podcast episodes over years, I've talked about awakening a lot, awakening to a higher consciousness, awakening to a new way of being. Um, and actually, I can speak of awakening in many, many different words and different terms, but this time I'm putting the emphasis on joining the shift to higher consciousness, um, because this is about the evolution of human consciousness as well as the evolution of you as an individual. And this is becoming more and more important on planet Earth. If we don't evolve to higher consciousness, it's becoming very clear to everyone that we will be moving in the wrong direction. And currently, we are moving in the wrong direction. But as more people join in the shift to higher consciousness, then that will begin to change. And so that's what I'm talking about today. And I hope that I'm able to give you some new ideas about this whole subject, because I have been learning an enormous amount about it this year, particularly in 2024. And I have had big changes happening for myself, in myself. And you've heard about some of those. But again, I want to talk about it more and help you come to know for sure that now is the time. If you're listening to this, I know you have some level of interest, but now is the time to join the shift to higher consciousness. So let me keep going here. Like always, I say this every episode. I'd like to end up having it be under 30 minutes, but we will see. So I'm going to try to be speedy and keep this a bit shorter than normal. So the very first question is, what is higher consciousness? What do we mean by that? What do I mean by it? What would it mean to you? So I think there's definitely some confusion about what consciousness is for many people. And that's because over the last 100 years, mankind has put the emphasis on science and developing new technologies and taking a scientific approach, etc. And consciousness pretty much got shoved out of that picture. Now, there's always been people, including physicists, who have said, no, you can't put consciousness out of the picture for too long or in totality, because some people have absolutely known intuitively that consciousness is fundamental in the universe. And it is. And if you try to understand the universe without understanding consciousness, you'll never succeed. So, higher consciousness, many people confuse the idea of consciousness with mind and thinking and being conscious versus unconscious. Well, consciousness is much, much more than that, much bigger than that, and more fundamental than that. And I sometimes say, substitute the word awareness for consciousness. Consciousness is awareness. It is being aware of oneself as an individual, as a being aware of the world around them, being aware at a depth of awareness that helps us understand and realize what we are, who we are, what we are a part of. And we are part of something huge, and many people's problems in thinking about life today is they aren't putting into perspective themselves within this greater existence of the world and universe and of mankind as a part of that. When you look at just yourself, then you very often are going to think in terms of not enough. I'm not good enough. I don't have enough money. I haven't been successful like I wanted. And your context can be very much driven by your happiness. And unfortunately, then many people define happiness as having much more instead of knowing who they are inside of themselves and knowing where you or I fit in the universe. So higher consciousness is sometimes many people, spiritual people, define it in terms of vibration, your energy level, vibrational level. And the higher you raise your vibration, the higher consciousness you're able to achieve. And that is true. But moving from wherever you're at to a higher consciousness is a progression. Have been a few people in the world that have made a huge leap of consciousness from where they're at the ego level and being in fear in this world and unhappy to complete and total insights about how they are in the world, what they are in the world, and what the universe is. But very few people have. I certainly have not. My experience has been pretty steady progression since I got into the mode of spiritual seeking, wanting to raise my consciousness. And and I've gone through levels of progression. And each level, when we realize that consciousness is all about awareness, is that one level is higher than another because you are more aware at a higher level. You're more aware of yourself and things about yourself and how you fit into the world. And you're more aware of the world and of the universe. And every uplift of awareness to a new level, it's very often been compared to, going up a mountain. And when you're at the base of the mountain, your perspective is limited. You can't see very far. It may be blocked by trees. But as you go up the mountain, you become able to see out farther and farther into the world around you. And so if you think in terms of expanding your awareness outward with higher perspective and higher understanding, then that's a way to think about it. Now, let me keep going. There's no simplistic way to define this. It requires some explanation, and so let me keep going here. Now, The next thing I'm going to say, hopefully you've heard um, my episodes before from either this podcast, New Ways of Being, or my previous podcast, Our Spiritual Life. You've heard me talk about some of this, but I'm going to make this statement. You are higher consciousness. And I could say, without having to do anything or change anything, you could suddenly awake to know that you are higher consciousness itself. But most of us, in growing up, we have learned to be very ego-based, thinking in terms of fear. How do we defend ourselves? How do we beat someone else, beat the competition to a job? It can be thought of in many different ways. But what happened over our lifetime is we accumulated a lot of beliefs, a lot of programming about ourselves and the world that is untrue. It is not based on our true self. It is based on our own limited experience and the experience of our family and the world around us, and everyone being based in the belief of separation, that we are separate from each other and that we're separate from the universe, separate from the creator. And so that, everything we've learned has been from a limited perspective, a one of ego and fear and separation. As you move into higher consciousness, you discover that our beliefs, you would discover that your belief is wrong to a great extent, more than you realize. And that if we could come to learn that we should really be basing all of our thinking and our existence in the world on love and on unity with the universe, things would begin to change significantly for you and for me. And this has been happening for me for many years, and I've learned a great deal. This year, I've got an accelerated course, learning at a much faster pace. And if you've heard some of my other episodes, you've heard why. So let's come back to what is this shift to higher consciousness, and how do we join in? And so the next big question, and I've raised this before, I did one whole episode kind of talking about this very early, episode 1 or 2, I think it was, episode 2, I think. Who or what you truly are, what you really are. And so I think maybe I approach it a little bit differently than some other people do, because I learned that the fundamental thing of the universe is that there is one consciousness, and all of the physical universe that we know in our day-to-day existence, with us in our individual body, which is a physical body, and we exist in a physical world. That one consciousness created everything, and it created the physical realm, and it created everything physical within it, and everything is existing within the one consciousness. Now, this has been taught for millennia. Some people came to understand it. Spiritual masters came to understand it very long time ago. Jesus ended up becoming a spiritual master 2,000 years ago. But Buddha, for example, was a spiritual master 500 years before that. And there have been others even earlier. Now, so what we truly are beings who are individuated beings within that one consciousness. Now, religions call that one consciousness God, and different religions and different spiritual teachers have called it many different things. And because many people fear God, they've been taught to fear God by some religion. Many people are afraid of that word, God. But if you can equate it to this concept of one consciousness, and that it is totally good, totally creative, and that the universe is totally holistic, everything is within that one consciousness, then we could use the term God and not be afraid. And so a number of years ago, I was very afraid when I heard that term God, or in some ways, I was not necessarily afraid on the surface. I was fearful underneath, but I was pushing back that I don't believe in God. I don't want a God that creates a hell. I don't want a judgmental God. I don't want a God that I have to be afraid of. So many people instead choose to call it rather the infinite being, or the one spirit, or pure spirit, or infinite intelligence, or um, you know, the all that is. Whatever you call it, that's fine. I'm going to use the term God. So understand that when I say God, I'm talking about one consciousness, the source of everything, and the wholeness of which we are part. Wholeness is very important. Once we understand wholeness, then we can come to understand, if we explore it enough, that the creator could not be bad and condemning and judging itself, uh, because it will maintain this one whole of everything in the universe. So we are a part of that as individuated consciousness. We are an individuated portion of that one whole consciousness, and individuated so that we can experience life as an individual spiritual being, or if we choose to go and live on Earth, as an individual physical being on the surface of the planet Earth. And there are beings that are on the surface of other planets. God talks about that in some of his communications, including Conversations with God, Book 4, Awaken the Species. God talks about highly evolved beings who are either spiritual beings or aliens who are much more advanced and highly evolved than we are. So let's keep going. I'm trying to get to why you want to shift to a higher consciousness and why we should all want to do so. But we find out, as I hinted a little bit, that belief and desire and intention and imaginations are keys in shifting to a higher consciousness. Belief, as I said, is the thing that blocks us for the most part. Most people are blocked in the belief that they are totally separate from if there is a God, totally separate from it, and totally separate from a higher consciousness, and that shifting to a higher consciousness must be hard to do, or why wouldn't I have done it before now? But we will keep looking at that, a belief and intention to change. Now, probably for most people listening to this podcast episode, you've heard the expression, we are spiritual beings having human experiences. And that, I believe, is totally true. But many people don't dig into exactly what is meant by a spiritual being. And that is, once we call one consciousness that everything exists within, if we call that spirit, we are an individuated part of spirit or an individuated spiritual being. Unfortunately, many people don't explore that heavily. What's it? A lot of people can kind of agree, especially those who believe they have a soul, but it really helps to explore into it. Now, and when I've talked about shifting to a higher consciousness, much of it has been about individuals awakening to a higher awareness. And that can be expressed in many different ways. Every awakening event can be different than every other person's awakening events, or they can be very similar. But what's happening in the world today is we are at an early stage of a collective shift to higher consciousness. There is a great awakening that is, again, it's at an early stage, but it is underway on planet Earth. Most people don't see it yet, but those who are looking are seeing it more and more. And so we can talk about awakening or making the shift to higher consciousness at an individual level, but I'm emphasizing right at this moment that a shift is underway collectively of more and more people shifting to higher consciousness. Now, you can recognize if you do any digging into what's wrong with me as a person or what's wrong with the world right now, and why do I feel so bad about the world and myself in the world? It's because most of the world has not yet reached a sufficiently high level of awareness to recognize, oh, I am an expression of consciousness itself. Everything about me, including my body, is an expression of consciousness. And if I want to feel something different, then maybe I can do that by raising my consciousness, becoming more aware, more conscious, living more consciously. That term, living more consciously, means being more aware in our daily life and in life at large. And if you would study what is wrong with the world, it's because people have this closed in, I've got to defend myself perspective. I've got to win out against other people. We have got to win out against other nations. And so it's all based in fear and separation. But if we eventually shift into levels of consciousness that are based in love and unity, everything begins to change. Because then we begin to understand more and more fully that every one of us is a part of this great whole, that we are collectively making up this whole of existence. And we can, just as individuals, we can see that we can see that if I operated from being more aware from moment to moment instead of out of habit, which most people do operate out of habit, then you can make better choices, and you can make choices that are based on wholeness instead of fear and competition and separation. Um, so, and it's really important to come to know that the evolution of human consciousness will happen, or we will go out of existence. We will decline into, and that's called devolution. We will decline into being uncivilized beings, and or living in a constant fight for survival against the world or against other people all of the time, you know. So we can and hopefully will make the choice, the smarter choice, to evolve our consciousness and operate out of higher consciousness, of being more aware and making decisions based instead of on partisan party-based decisions or tribe-based decisions, or or separated groups. If we make decisions based on what's good for the whole, we begin to make better decisions. If we become more aware that higher guidance is available to us constantly, and that we have resources within us and higher knowledge and wisdom within us that we can make use of, that most people haven't been making use of, everything begins to change. So that's why we can change our own lives. We can change the whole world by evolving in consciousness, by making the shift to higher consciousness individually. And if we could become aware enough to see that a greater shift is happening, that humanity is beginning to choose to evolve to higher consciousness collectively as a species, we can join in that greater shift. So this is, I would say this is extremely important kinds of thoughts and ideas that I'm talking about here. But there is this movement, this shift that is happening, that is more than just the idea of an individual. It is the idea of the universe at the biggest level. And it is the idea of an intelligent universe and an intelligent world that we live in. And if we make that choice, then we can participate in, it's like choosing to participate in all of the big and great things that have happened in the slow evolvement of humanity. I believe that we will see this shift begin to happen faster and faster, because that is the nature of life in the universe. Life expands and life evolves. And that evolution tends to be to accelerate and to be instead of linear, to be what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not coming up with it. You know, the changes begin to multiply instead of just add. So, all right, let's continue talking. I want to talk about how to make the shift and I'm rapidly running out of my 30 minutes, but I will keep going. Now, um, now I announced a course that I created with the guidance of divine beings, God, and an advanced group of spiritual beings called the Council. I created a course to help people make the shift, and it was based on my accelerated learning this year in how to do that. I was guided by God and the Council in how to do that, and in how to create a course that I can share with other people. I went through that process of learning and of creating the course kind of almost simultaneously. And the course is called Become a Master of Life: How to Know and Use God Energy. And so this course exists, and the course is one way to go through a process of making a shift to higher consciousness. There are many other ways. I'm going to talk about it fairly generally so that you might pursue it on your own if you choose. But on and when I'm all done, I'll talk about how you can learn more about my course. In that process of becoming a master myself and learning how to know and use God energy myself, um, I actually the council realized that, and they pointed out to me that I went through 4 major steps and achieved 4 major goals that helped complete this stepping into mastery process. And the 4 steps or 4 goals were: raise your energy so that you can talk with the divine. If you raise your energy to a very high level, above 100 vibrations per 100,000 vibrations per second, that enables you to talk more readily with the divine. And when I say divine, I mean God or the angels or spiritual guides, or people who have transitioned, including higher spiritual masters, ascended masters who have transitioned, perhaps after a life on Earth or a life on some other planet. So raise your energy so that you can talk with the divine. Learning to do that, so I learned how to have, when I say talk, I have telepathic conversations with the divine. And in doing that, I can say things about myself, but more often I ask questions about how to make some change in myself or how I might serve the world or contribute to the world, and get answers back immediately. And the higher realms of the divine, like the God and ascended masters, like the council, they are very advanced beings. They know and they really know everything that there is to know in the universe. They have access to all knowledge, and they are aware of what exists within the great one consciousness of the universe. So learning to talk with the divine is a very powerful thing. Now, some of what I'll talk about you could maybe do without that, but why would you pass up that opportunity? All right, number 2, learn to use God energy. God energy is the subtle energy which is the basis of the universe, and in allowing the movement of energy and of awareness and of the unfolding of life. So learn to use God energy in shifting to higher awareness and in creating the life experiences that you truly desire. We are given free will. And so what God would like to see us do with that as participants in the divine existence itself, the one consciousness that we are a part of, to be creators of what we want. So create the life experiences you want. I'm creating the life experiences now that I want. I know I'm able to do that. I am, and that's why I'm here. I'm here to create the life that I want. Number 3, learn to let God guide you. Now, when we come from fear and separation, everything's a struggle and we have to figure everything out. As we move into away from that and into love and unity, then there's this whole divine universe that exists out there, billions and trillions and quadrillions of beings out there in the universe who have evolved over time. That includes some people here on Earth, and it includes people from other realms of the universe. There have been, I'm not going to go into that. Learn to let God guide you. That becomes important because the more that you do that, because God wants to guide you, God wants to see the whole of the universe evolve, the whole of one consciousness evolve and create and live lives. And God experiences all of that because it is all within God. So learn to let God guide you. God will. God is happy to if you allow it. Most people do not because they want to be in control of their life and they block out of fear the possibility of God guiding them. So learn to let God guide you because God is all goodness and God will. And when you do that, everything gets lighter. It gets easier. You don't have to figure everything out. You can follow God's lead. God will guide you to the next step. And number 4, shift fully into knowing you are an extension of God. So I said that I gave you what spiritual masters have come to know is true about the universe, that it is, at its essence, it is one consciousness, and that we as individual beings are individuations of one consciousness. Now that I know that's abstract, can be kind of hard to understand exactly what that means, but it says that it is God's way of giving you that ability to operate as an individual, to have free will, and to create. Once you know you can create what you desire, to then create your life experiences moment by moment, day by day, and live in this wonderful existence that is possible for you. All right, so those are the 4 key goals. And the course teaches you how to do all of those things, not in exactly in a sequential process, because that is really a non-sequential learning process. All of that is possible at once. So it doesn't do it in a strict sequence. That's not the 4 steps in the course. The course covers many different things and brings it all together in a learning process, experiential process. So now, so to shift to a higher consciousness, one of the first things you need to do is you need to raise your awareness to higher levels. And those can be in big steps or little steps. In some ways, we could say it doesn't matter. It is possible that you, if everything were perfect for you, that you could shift to the high, to a big increase in awareness and consciousness in one big shift. That does, again, it doesn't happen for most people, but it is a possibility if you kind of come to know what the target is and what you need to do. Now, one of the things that I learned is that is very important is to open and allow the shifting to happen. When you open and allow, that is a way of saying surrender. You surrender to the universe, the one consciousness, to help make it happen. And you can use God energy in the process. So one of the things that I learned is that you can raise your awareness to higher and higher levels by opening and allowing yourself to shift to a higher level of awareness. Just that intention, without being able to define what that is, because most of the time we don't know how to define that. I've learned some ways, but right now I just want to say, if you intend to use a flow of God energy through you, and God energy is in you all the time and is a stream of this God energy flowing through you all of the time, then you can use that if you simply open and allow yourself to be raised to a higher level of awareness. God will help you do that. God energy will help you do that. And when that happens, and when the shift occurs, there's kind of an activation process that you have the intention, and then you initiate it by intention and opening and allowing. And as it happens, you won't necessarily know how it's happened or what form it takes immediately, but there will be an activation that happens either over hours or days, and then you'll come to realize, oh, I have a new insight about the world, or I have a new insight about myself, and I have a higher perspective of how to understand something about myself or the world or the way the universe works. So you can do that. That's a way that you can begin to raise your consciousness right now. Take what I just taught you and begin to open and allow and have the intention to be raised to a higher level of awareness without defining it in any more way, except the more you can feel into, I will probably feel more expansive or more insightful, or I will probably feel more good about myself. The more that you do have that kind of feeling, it helps it happen. All right, let me keep going. Now, one of the things that I've learned is that it really helps. And some people have some intuition about this. Many people do not. I did not have any intuition myself about how to do what I'm about to describe. But if you can come to believe that you are a being of light, that you are light, that you are divine beingness. If you can come to believe that in whatever form that takes within you, um, uh, it helps. Okay. Now I had to go through some learning process of learning to, I kind of accepted the idea when God was telling me, be the light that you are. Uh, God would say, allow your light to shine into the world. I could kind of understand that, but I had not ever thought much of myself as being light or exactly what that would look like or feel like. So I had to go through a learning process in which I asked the divine questions and got explanations, and those explanations helped, and I would explore into it more. I, to some extent, I was continuing to go through a process of trying to figure it out, because I was trying to allow it, but I think I didn't. It wasn't until I began to use imagination more and more in that to imagine it, what it might be like. If we are spiritual beings, and there are vast numbers of spiritual beings that exist within the universe, I am told, in many different spiritual realms. There's not just one heaven, there are many different spiritual realms. And I mean, one of the realms that beings can exist in is a physical realm as a physical being with a body on some planet. But so the more you imagine into it, that's one way that you can start beginning to do so. The more that you would understand that a spiritual being, that the universe is full of individual spiritual beings, what form do they take? And so it is it's in a way, it's very hard to abstractly picture what a spiritual being would be like any other way than light. But, so for one thing, light helps you have a way of imagining what that would be. It would be without a body. It would be individuated in some way. And if you also understand that everything is energy certainly in the physical universe, then, and light is a form of energy. It's a way of kind of thinking into it. But again, we want to become aware, uh, aware of it at a level of awareness that's outside of thinking. Yeah. So if you don't understand that, you need to do more meditation. Meditation is about getting out of thinking and into awareness. Or you can kind of think of everyone's soul as being a light being that is calling us and moving us, urging us to move toward the light. And in other words, to make the shift to higher consciousness. And everyone's soul is doing that. And again, 99% of people have tuned out their soul and are all locked up in belief in separation. But as you begin to believe in love and unity and light, the wholeness of the universe in light, and suddenly there will come a point where the significance of your soul becomes important. Now, one of the things, kind of learning processes I went through was that, well, is my soul a different being? Or, and it kind of is there with you, with your physical body. but it wants to be in your body with you. But if you are full of negativity and fear and uh, thinking in negative terms, you kind of drive the soul out of your body, and so it might be out. Uh, it's and it normally is out bigger than your body, but so it will be pulled away from you. But one of the things that happened to me in this past year is I went through an integration with my soul, a changing of my ego self to be more open and love and unity. And the more that I was able to do that, the more I began to integrate with my own soul and become more aware of how I was being directed. Um, so if you are intuitive and see light beings, um, that probably helps you very far along. If you're a logical left brain person like I was, and to still some extent I am, um, you have to learn into it. So imagination is one of the tools, as well as shifting belief, holding intention, using imagination, and uh, shifting more and more into having the intention of being more in the spiritual realm, in our divine beingness, in our light, in ourself as an extension of God. So so I've said that and I didn't use this term, but some people use the term ascension or great awakening is happening. It will accelerate. Our souls are calling us to that. And so sooner or later, we will, as individuals, finally listen to our soul, and we will choose to join in this great shift to higher consciousness that is happening. We call it ascension. We can call it great awakening. It is happening, and the more people that join into that, it makes it easier for other people to join the awakening. It is a activation process. There is more activation energy available as more people have made the shift. There's more of this activation energy becoming available in the world that supports the expansion of individual awakening and of the collective shift in consciousness, for the whole world, so for humanity. So I hope I've helped you with understanding a bit more than you did before, of some new ways of thinking about it. I would say that now is the time to open to the shift and to allow it and to join into it and to intend it for yourself. One of the ways that you can do it more rapidly is to take advantage of the course, become a master of life, how to know and use God energy. But whatever direction you go, there are many people who are on earth who came here to be way showers. And so I now know that I came here to be a way shower, to help people make the shift. And one of the ways that I'm doing it is through the course that I have created. So you can find out about that, my course, by going to raymondposch.com and reading about it on my homepage and on another page that I have there. And you can purchase the course, which is a 4-module course, there in the store on my website. But there are many other way showers who are coming into that they're coming into um, their full potential as way showers on Earth right now, like has happened with me, and I'm still growing into it. Um, so there are many other people who can guide you as well. It doesn't have to be me. Um, um, and one of the tools that helped me along the way was a book called The Wisdom of the Council that was written and published by um, a channel called, her name is Sarah Landon. There are other people as well. It was that book that got me hearing what the council had to say through Sarah Landon. They were speaking through her. There are other advanced masters that are speaking through other channels, and you may be aware of those. But decide for yourself right now that you want to be a part of it, because life gets better when you do. You can help make a difference in the world when you do. As I said, it's a stepwise from one level to another level for most people. You don't, but I now know that if I had known that if I had shifted or focused primarily on coming to know myself as an extension of God at that level and intending to move to that level, um, if I had been able to hold into that uh, constantly and ever more clearly, I would have moved much faster, I think. So that's kind of a tip. If it took me, I was raised as a Christian, and taught that no, there's no way that you are a part of God. You are separate from God. Don't ever say you're a part of God. And everyone is a part of God. So, religions can be totally wrong. But um, if you can focus on that and to focus on knowing that you are a part of the one consciousness, you're an individuated part, you are not the whole of God, you are a part of that one consciousness, and that you want to shift yourself into the full knowing of that and the full expression of that, uh, you will move more rapidly through any steps. Now, I had a big block. I was taught no, even though I knew 20 years ago that's where I needed to be, knowing it to the point that I could step fully into being it was for me a big step. I had to get over and past a lot of beliefs uh, that no, I couldn't do that. No, that was too big of a goal, even. Um, know that I wasn't worthy. I had to get past all of that. You may have to as well. But if you focus on that as your ultimate goal, you will move through the process faster and more easily, I'm sure. So it has been wonderful for you to be, for me to be here sharing my knowledge and information with you. I hope it helps you. Do check it out. The course that's on my website, raymondposch.com. Posch is Posch. Do that if you will, and I would love to um, for that to happen, and I would love to meet you and have you ask me the questions that you have, etc. But thank you, and you have a great day and a great life. We can all make this big shift to the highest consciousness I know that it's totally possible. We are being guided and taught how to do it. So listen to that guidance. Have a great day, Ann, and a great life.